Welcome back. This is Sandy with Sandy's Organized Chaos. So today, this was completely inspired by something that popped up in my memories from 5 years ago. I was completely inspired by the colors. I absolutely love the colors, but I just wanted to transform it into something a little different. So I took a few things that I've recently done over the last year, and I combined it together to form this with the same color scheme as the tumbler that inspired me from 5 years ago. So in other words, don't be afraid to take something that you've done and turn it into something else. That's exactly what we're doing today. So let's go ahead and wake up, prep these tumblers, and slay all day. Let's do this. Starting off with the base that I am using, I went ahead and I prepped it. I just gave it a sand like I usually do, and I spray painted it this pretty coral color. It's just what is this, Rust-Oleum? Yes, see, it says coral right there. I know. Look, it's very well used. I went ahead and spray painted that and let it sit overnight, and now we're going to add some crackle over top. This is probably the easiest thing you can use. I just buy this crackle medium. I know a lot of people use glue, but I just swear by the crackle medium. I like it better. I'm just saying. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a really good shake. Next, you just want to go ahead and fully coat the tumbler in this crackle glaze. You just want to make sure, I know it's hard to see, but you just want to make sure that you just come through and just liberally add it to it. Then once you have it fully loaded up, you need to let this completely dry. You don't want it wet at all. So what I do is I either hit it up with a heat source like my blow dryer, or I set it in front of a fan to let it fully dry. And don't forget to wash your brush. You'll ruin your brush if you don't. Before I add my paint, I'm just gonna make sure that I touch it and make sure there is no wet spots, okay? You don't want it wet at all or it won't work. I absolutely prefer chalk paint, but all I had was white acrylic paint, so that's what I'm gonna use. I'm going to make sure that my brush is fully loaded with my paint because you want to make sure that you do pretty much one swipe. I'm going to start with the bottom. I'm going to do what I can. Don't really fuss with it too much. You really don't want to wipe over it too many times, and you pretty much, that's all you want to do. Just back and forth, not too many times, and that's it. You don't really want to touch it because it does dry relatively fast, especially if you hit it up with a heat source beforehand. The tumbler is already pretty hot, so this is going to dry pretty fast on you. And I am coming through and just kind of swiping a few areas here and there. Again, don't mess with it too much. I know I look like I'm fussing with it. Then I'm going to come through and I'm going to hit it up with my blow dryer to make sure those cracks really start to form. And that's it. That's all you got to do for a crackle. Super easy. I mean, it's supposed to look rustic. It's supposed to look like that. It's supposed to look weathered and patchy. That's all you want to do. All right, so our base is good. We're going to wash up our supplies there before it dries on us. We're going to add a coat of epoxy over top. I did add a little bit of sparkle dust down into my epoxy because, again, I was feeling a little fancy, wanted a little extra sparkle. So that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and let that cure, and then we'll be ready to move on to the next step. And while we're waiting, we're going to go ahead and get our stuff cut out that we need. So the first thing we need is our diamond shape because that's what is going to give us that little peekaboo in the center that we're going to be doing. So we're just going to simply come over to our shapes, get out a diamond. I went ahead and measured my tumbler already. I know that I wanted about 3.5 in width, so I want to unlock that diamond shape. I'm going to make the width 3.5, and then the height I want 7.5 because I pretty much want it to fill a good portion of the front of the tumbler. So whatever your measurements are, you go ahead and put yours in for yours. And the quote that we're going to do is super simple. We're just going to type up spread kindness like, and I've been really into that typewriter look lately. I don't know, that's just what I've been into. And then wildflowers, I just made it look fancy, but we're going to utilize the diamond to get everything in proportion of how big we want it. I just wanted something very kind of delicate and light looking. So again, I just went ahead and let me color that so that you guys can see it better. And then I'm going to come through and I'm going to squish it down a little bit. You just want to mess around with it until everything gets the way you like. So I'm going to come up and make the line space a little bit tighter for me there too. And the other one, it is all capitalized, which you could do, or you could do it like how I did here. So now you can kind of see either way, however you want to do it. And then I went ahead and typed up wildflowers, and I wanted something a little bit prettier for that, so I chose a pretty font for that as well. And then I'm going to get everything all lined up, again, just utilizing my diamonds, so that way I know how big I need to make it already. I'm going to go ahead and get it all lined up, and then I'm going to weld it together, and then that will get cut out on its own as well. So the diamond portion, you just want to use vinyl that you don't really care about, because that's going to be used to peel back anyways. It's just going to be a template for what we need to do. But the spread kindness, like wildflowers, I'm going to use, I think I use like a brass colored or a copper colored textured vinyl, or you could use gold. Again, wherever your imagination takes you. Our tumbler is nicely cured and we're ready to get our peekaboo going. So the first thing I want to do is I'm just going to use a measuring tape. You can use a level, however you guys want to do it. I don't have a level. I looked around. I couldn't find one. So anyways, I'm going to use a measuring tape. I'm going to get it lined up at the top and at the bottom there, and I'm just going to make a little dot on the top and the bottom with an erasable marker, anything. I'm just using an acrylic marker so that way I know where to put the points of my diamonds. I have to have it setting up on my table to do this process, so I'm going to get that lined up. Then I'll just use some rubbing alcohol to wipe off the marks I made. And we're ready to lay down some glitter. So I'm using Gulf Coast. It's this beautiful holographic, and it has all these really fun shapes that match with the diamond shape. It has diamond shapes in it too, you know, so I just thought it would go well with it. And I am going to use glue to adhere down my glitter today. You can use epoxy if you'd like to. It's up to you, you know. So if you use epoxy, just use a very thin coating, obviously. And then the glue, I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm going to fully coat the tumbler in my glue. So if you did the epoxy, just do that as well. Just because I want, the way that I want to cascade the glitter down, I want to make sure that it goes up pretty high, you know. So that's all I want. So I'm just going to fully load up this tumbler with my glue. And you're going to see me test a little portion there. Because I don't want it fully loaded. I want it kind of spark. I want to be able to see the crackle underneath. Okay, so I was testing it on the paper first to make sure I could do it properly. So I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle some onto the bottom. Then I will come through and drape it along the sides. As you see, I'm holding up my tumbler almost upright, just so that way I get that beautiful cascade going. And I really want to make sure that after we pull that diamond back, that you're going to be able to still see where that shape is, so that way it helps us out when we go to apply all the little lovely flowers and stuff we want to put on the insert. So you just want to make sure that you bring it up far enough, again, that you'll still be able to see the outlet. So it almost comes all the way to the top of the tumbler, and that's pretty much what I wanted. So you just load that up as much as you would like, and again, I really like that idea of being able to see that crackle underneath, and that's all you want to do. And while the glue is still wet, I'm going to go ahead and tap down what I can of my chunkies so that way nothing is poking up. This, again, just really going to help ourselves out in the long run here. You don't want anything poking up and being a nuisance once you apply that epoxy. It's no fun to have to try to sand over all that. And while the glue is still wet, again, after I tap everything down, I'm going to come through and I'm going to peel back my diamond shape. Just be very, very careful. It can be a little slippery because, again, that glue is still a little wet. So I'm just going to peel everything back. And then after I'm done doing that, I'll go ahead and set it off to the side and let that dry fully. But as you can see, we have our nice little cutout there for us. And we can pretty much see where we need to go once we need to tap everything off. So that's nice. I like that. So I'm going to just make sure everything, again, is tapped down nicely. Now, after that glue has dried, I went ahead and I swept off any loose glitters, just fully sweep it off, okay? Then we're gonna come through and we want to seal down our glitters because, one, we don't want it shifting around on us. We want it to stay put where it's at. And two, these holographic glitters, because of the metallic of them, sometimes want to wick away our epoxy, because I don't use thick, huge coatings of epoxy when I go to put my epoxy on, so sometimes it'll want to wick away because it's not enough epoxy. So that's why I seal it down as well. It really helps out with that process of the fish eyes. And you could either use a spray sealer like I typically use, my 2x Ultra. You could use that, or you can use a liquid sealer. It was too cold again for today to use a spray sealer, so I'm just going to use my liquid today. The liquid sealer has dried, and before I apply my epoxy, I just come through and do the good old-fashioned glove test, and nothing is coming off on my hands. That's perfect. That's how you want it. Nothing is going to shift around on us. So now I'm going to go ahead and put a coating of epoxy over top. I'm using, I think, about 15 milliliters over top of this, and then I'm going to get that placed onto my turner and let that cure. Our base is complete, it's nice and cured, and we're ready to add our pretty little decals over top. So the first thing we want to do is tape off our diamond area. So I'm just going to use some painter's tape, and I'm going to block off the diamond area for my flowers. So I'm just lining that tape up right along the glitter line there, and I'm going to do the bottom first because that's going to help out with the top portion, because obviously the top portion doesn't have as much glitter happening. I could still see where it was. You can still kind of see because I did go up kind of high with that drape of the glitter, but doing the bottom first definitely helps out. So we're just going to get that lined up, burnish down really good, and then now we get to do the fun part of adding our pretty flowers. So I've actually had this for quite a while. I got it off Amazon, and I was like, this is a perfect opportunity to use this because I haven't used it in a while, but it comes with all these different colors. It comes with all that, you know, and I knew I wanted to do purple. I figured purple would go best, and it has 2 packs of purple, and it comes with the butterflies and flowers and everything in it. So each one is a little bit different. So this next part is, just all in the eyes of the beholder here. So you're going to come through, you're going to pick out different flowers, you're just going to line it up. I knew I wanted it half on and half off of inside of the diamond shape, so I'm just going to kind of visualize and see what looks good to me. So I went ahead and pulled these particular ones out, and those are the ones that I'm going to use because, again, I want to leave some gaps here and there, especially like in the middle. And these are really cool because it's pretty much just like all the other stuff we use. You're going to peel that back. It has a clear backing to it. You're going to get it laid down where you want it. And then you just want to make sure that you burnish it down really good. You'll know if it's not burnished down because it'll leave little white spots. And if it seems like there's a bubble underneath, you just come through and you take a little needle and you poke it and press all the air out of it, and it's super simple. I'm going to go ahead and score where the tape line is to make it a little bit easier for myself when I go to cut. There you go, just like that. Now I'm going to go ahead and take a razor knife and I'm going to score along that line that we made. You just want to be very careful. You just want to go through the sticker, you don't want to go all the way down to the tumbler base, so, or not the tumbler base, but the stainless steel. Now, after I get this pulled off, I'm like, you know what? I can absolutely use that up at the top. So I'm actually going to take that and I'm going to reuse it right up along the top instead of throwing it away. See, there you go. And again, you just want to make sure that you really burnish these down, making sure that the edges fully melt in. It'll turn completely clear. There shouldn't be any little white spots on it. Again, if there's any little white spots, just keep buffing it down and they should disappear. And if they don't disappear, then it might be a bubble. Now for this next one, I went ahead and peeled back a little bit. I got it placed where I wanted it to because there's a little butterfly there. I don't know if you can see it from up here, but I got it placed down where I want it to. I'm going to cut off the backing a little bit and then just peel that backing off and burnish it down in place where I want it. And again, I'm going to score it with my finger along the tape line. I'm going to cut it and then I'm going to reuse it if I can somewhere else on the piece. All right, so now once you have it filled in, again, I was just keeping it focused along the outside of that diamond, not too much in the center. That's how I wanted mine to look. Now we're ready to come through and peel back our tape. So as you peel back the tape, you might be able to see some of the stickers that you might not have cut properly. So you're just gonna come through and score those as you go, so that way you don't accidentally peel back your stickers. And there we go. Oh my gosh, guys. When I first pulled the tape back, I was so in love. I love this so much, and I really hope you guys are enjoying this as well. So again, I'm in the mode of using what I have on hand instead of having to purchase anything. So I dug through my drawers and I found this tape liner stuff from AB Design Co. that I'd gotten, gosh, years ago. I'd gotten it as a gift from Rebecca Escott. I was in the Christmas thing with everybody. Anyways, she had sent me a bunch of stuff and this was in there too, and I had never used it, but it is so cute. And I love that it comes in 3 different sizes. Super awesome. So I'm going to use the medium sized one as opposed to the smaller or larger one. So I'm going to use that medium sized one and I'm just going to outline my diamond shape with this. And just like when using any nail tape, when you go to outline stuff, you don't want to use the area that your fingers touch. So you'll see that I have kind of a bit hanging off, but simply because the oils from my fingers will make it not stick very well to the tumbler. So anything I was touching, I just want to make sure I'm able to cut off of the ends there. All right, there we go. I'm just going to make sure everything is nicely burnished down. Then I'm actually going to come through and I'm going to seal my nail tape down just to make sure it's not going to go anywhere on me. Again, too cold outside, so I'm going to use my liquid sealer or use your spray sealer. I'm going to go ahead and tap down my liquid sealer. I'm going to go ahead and smooth that out and let that dry. Now, after that dried, I'm still working on the same surface. I hadn't put a coat of epoxy over top yet. I feel comfortable in doing that process. The only thing I didn't feel comfortable doing is my final decal, but I'll talk more about that here in a minute. But I have a bunch of these really pretty feathers that I had gotten from MNG. Mr. Nola's glitter. Actually, I think it's MNG Supply Co. now. I'd gotten them from them, so I do believe they still sell these, and I'll make sure to attach it down below, of course. I just felt like the feathers kind of went with it, butterflies, kind of, spring feeling almost, you know what I mean? So it just kind of gets you in the mode for warmer weather to come. So I'm going to take these feathers, and I like the concept of it feeling like your picture is popping through and exploding onto the outside of the area, where you have your initial image. So that's what I want to do. I'm just going to take these feathers. I'm not going to do too many, just a few here and there, just to give it some movement to make it look like it's coming out from inside of that picture. And just like with the flowers that we use, these feathers are the same concept. Everything stays on it, and you just want to make sure that you burnish it down really well, making sure that everything is nice and clear when it's burnished down and no little white spots are left. I'm going to go ahead and place this last one down. I'm going to burnish it down, and then I'm just going to let you guys see. Like I said, I didn't add too many. I just wanted a few. I just felt like it really kind of added to everything. So I believe I did 2 bigger ones around the back, and then I did like 2 smaller ones around the front just to give it a little extra. And then I did want to come through and add, of course, some of the butterflies as well, swooping around the back just to tie everything more together. Again, the rest of this is just in the eye of the beholder. I ended up doing one little guy right there up at the top, and then I did another like larger one around the back, and then of course I think I did do I did a few more just right around the front, just adding to everything. So I'm not going to add the quote just yet, but I am going to add a coat of epoxy over top. The reason for that is the liquid sealer that I use, it has the potential to peel back on you if you put down your transfer tape over top, so we don't want that. So we're going to go ahead and add a coating of epoxy over top, and then we'll add our decal. All right, it was cured, and then I went ahead and rolled on my decal here. And then after that, we are going to get another coat of epoxy placed over top of everything. And down into that wet epoxy, I just really wanted to do the decals that we applied around the back, not the diamond center portion, but the other decals. I wanted it to feel like they were swimming inside or floating inside of that glitter, as they came out. So I'm going to just very gently come through and sprinkle down some of that Gulf Coast glitter right over top of everything, just to really tie this together. And then all that is left to do after this is add your final coats of epoxy, and she is ready to go. Whether you take this design and duplicate it as is, or you take it and let it inspire you to create something that is completely your own, I hope that you guys enjoyed this tutorial today. Again, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time.